the world we are in now really helps us to understand the importance of consistency, because there are many voices out there. So your consistency is what keeps you top of mind with people. So this is who I am. I'm not going to go here or there. I'm consistent with my message. I'm consistent with my promise to you. I'm not, because once you're not consistent, you're confusing your customers.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Brand or BS. Throughout from episode 1 to 2, we've been trying to figure out, are you branding or are you just BSing your customers, clients, or BSing the public in general? Now, in case if you're wondering, when I mean BS, pardon my English, I mean bullshitting or bullshit. So you get the point now. All right, today we have another creative genius and a brand expert in the building, and this is his first time of coming on Brand Talk, and we are extremely happy to meet him. His name is Akanimo, and he's the lead designer and founder of Excite. And like I said, he's a brand expert, a creative genius. And well, let me just leave it to him to introduce or tell us more about himself. So welcome to Brand Talk, Akanimo. Like, wow, it's a privilege to have you here. It's a privilege to have you. So
it's actually a privilege.
All right,
Yes.
Can you just tell us about yourself? Because someone, like I said, this is the first time we're having you here, and someone in the committee will want to know, okay, who is this guy? Why do we have him on? So can you tell us about yourself?
Okay, yeah, well, not to go into a lot, because first of all, thank you guys for having me. I mean, I'm privileged to actually do this, and I mean, we've been seeing each other on the side, probably engaging with our jobs, but it's like the first time of having a discussion. So it's, and I like the direction of the discussion as well. It's always something that's been bothering me. I kind of like, there's a knowledge gap somewhere, so let's fill that. And thanks for doing this. And yeah. So about me, but just not, you said it anyway, you had a brand genius. I was like, is this guy not putting too much weight on my shoulder? But just like what we are trying to discuss today, your brand is not what you tell your customer, it's what they say about you. So if that's what you say, who am I to dispute it? So yeah, so long and short, I'm a creative, because these days also, there's this, you trying to define, this one is doing, this one, but on the whole, I'm a creative, but if you drill it down, I'm a graphic designer. So everything else builds up from there. So I do website, I do UI, I do video as well. So for the core, I'm a graphic designer. But I niche now. Recently, I just niched, in developing brand identities. So
wow,
you can call me an identity designer. Yeah.
Well, at least we're sure we're talking to the right person, like, because we need to know, are we talking to the right person when it comes to subject on ground? Because we will be talking about, over the next couple of minutes, we'll be talking about brand strategy, and this entire series is meant to educate business owners about a better way of branding, a better way of building a brand, instead of just doing whatever they feel is branding, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So this is what we want to do. And I know we're talking to the right guy. I'm very, very certain about that. So now let's get straight to the point. Now, we are talking about brand strategy in this episode. And everything requires strategy. If it's in the military, if you want to go for war, if there's war, if you want to invade a country, whatever it is in the military, there must be some sort of strategy to that, right?
Yeah.
For relationship, well, I'm also talking to the right guy in terms of you're married. And then there is a strategy to home.
That's true though.
There is a strategy to building a home. So everything everything in life requires strategy. If you want to be a successful businessman, a successful career man, whatever, or woman, whatever it is, there are strategies to that. So
That's true.
what is brand strategy? Like when we say brand strategy, what do we mean by brand strategy?
So there are different definitions here and there. So the thing is, you nailed it. But I want to feel that this is supposed to be made simple enough for a novice in quote, and also, I mean, especially the client. Most clients don't do it. So I'm going to say it based on, okay, look, this person. I'm not going to go to textbook the definitions of anything. Just like you said, a strategy. What's your strategy? That's like your game plan, basically. So if you want, like you said, if you're going to war, what's the game plan? How am I going to, what am I going to do to make me come out victorious in this war? So in this case, it's a brand. So I have something I want to put out. I have the business I want to put out. I have an idea and I want to share. I have a problem I want to solve. So what is the strategy? Or maybe somebody already in that field trying to also solve the same problem. Maybe the person is not doing it well, or I've seen that, okay, I can do it better than this person. How am I going to play this game such that I win? So in the brand now, your brand, okay, you have a product, you have whatever it is you want to, or your solution you want to bring to the fore. How are you going to position yourself such that you are successful, such that you are profitable, such that you pass across the message you want to pass across? So on the whole brand strategy, I will call it the set of, your game plan, basically. I will just call it your game plan when it comes to your brand. So what's your game plan as it relates to your brand? How are you going to win? Or how is your brand going to stand out? How is your brand going to be exceptional amongst others in the same field that you are? So what's that game plan? So I'll call it your brand strategy, just your game plan to win. Basically, as there are many textbook definitions for them, but for me, that's how I understand it, and that's how it helps me to navigate the things that I want to, as I do as pertaining my brand. So yeah.
Okay, so going by your description, what you just described in terms of game plan, when you say game plan, I'm thinking, is it like a long-term thing? Is it something that you do and it's for a long-term purpose? I'll just put it that way. Or is it just something you do once and then that's it? Like when you say game plan, because let's say for example in football, there is game plans, right? There is strategy. But then strategy, it's not basically a long-term thing. It's a strategy for over 90 minutes, because after the 90 minutes, or if it goes into penalty, after that, the strategy is gone and then they start building next strategy. But is that the sort of game plan we're talking about here?
Yeah. Okay. So if you take it from the definition of a brand, which also has lots of definitions, there are people that would say it's a promise, people based on whatever you understand. But I discovered these guys in the book also. And I'm like, wow, this is so sound. He says that a brand is a desirable idea that is manifested in the product, a service, people, places, experiences. So if you look at that, so based on where you see a product you're bringing in, or a solution you're bringing to a particular problem, is that problem is something you want, something that can be solved in the next 5 years? Is the lifespan of that problem like 5 years? So if it's 5 years, it means your strategy is supposed to be one that will last for 5 years. So if your brand is supposed to be something that you want it to go the entire mile, like forever, or how long it can stay, then it means your strategy is such that it also can also stay the course. You get so your brand strategy, it depends on what you set out, what your brand sets out to do. So your strategy informs that. So if your brand is the one that is supposed to stay forever, then your strategy also should be one that is crafted so that it helps your brand to span and to stay relevant for the duration of its course, actually.
So in other words, your brand strategy should be aligned to your brand vision or goal per se.
100%.
All right, so I have to ask now, so where does the brand strategy come in? Is it something we do first, or is it something we just set up the business and then we'll figure out the brand strategy? When does it come in?
It comes in even before you start your business, before you come out, with your, for instance, before your brand element even hits, the public. That's your logo now, or whatever is it, your product, whatever it is. Before that even hits, but this is what you start as you're conceiving the vision. As the idea comes, that's when you start. That's when your strategy starts. Okay, I have this idea. It's apparent that I am positioned to solve this problem. It's apparent that I'm positioned to be the one to enter this market. Immediately that thought is in your head. That's when the strategy starts. Because once you start going through the idea, breaking it down, okay, this is what I want to do. These are the players in the field. How do I stand? Your strategy has started, whether you like it or not, it has started. However, some people, because of maybe the excitement of, for instance, if you're driven by money, I want to know this thing will hit you, this thing will blow. You just rush into the market without sitting down to like, okay, if I'm going in here, there's somebody already playing in that space. So how do I get myself successful in that space? If you don't think through that process, your brand is already dead on arrival. So your brand strategy is what you do even before you introduce your brand to the public.
Wow. So as a business owner, I have to figure out brand strategy first because it's key. Because it's key to building a brand, unlike just building, going back to the book, it talks about businesses that build products instead of building brands. And then when you figure out your brand strategy, the first thing, we just made mention of it. Let's say you want to enter into a relationship that leads to marriage, or you want to marry someone, you want to stay committed to someone. There must be a strategy. The strategy comes first before you enter into the marriage. Now, in this sense of brand strategy, the strategy comes first before you start up the business, because the strategy enables you to build a brand as just building a product. Now, when he talks about building a brand and building a product, I want to know, like, what is the difference? Isn't that entirely what business should do? Like, isn't product what we should build as businesses? Versus, is there any what's the difference between building a brand and building a product?
Okay, so first of all, your brand is not your product. Your brand is not your service. Okay, so that's that distinction. So if you're building a brand, your product is an offshoot of your brand. It's a touch point of your brand. Do you understand? So for instance, one definition of branding is it's a promise you've given to people. Okay, I want to do this. And so whenever I see this product, I know that, this product reminds me of this thing this person said, which is your brand. Okay, so when you've built your own brand, that's what now cascades into your product. I don't know if I'm making any sense here now.
Definitely.
So first of all, let's have that distinction clear. Your brand is not your product. Your brand is not your service. Your brand is not the experience. Your brand is a promise you've made to your people that this is what I'm standing out to do. This is what I want to do. So either way, so if you find it, if it plays out in a product, then that product reminds you of the promise I've made to you, which is the brand now. So if it's a service, that service reminds you of the promise I have made. So whether it's good or bad, so you can also match it together as well. Okay, you said you give me excellent product. Now you launch, that's the promise you made, that's your brand. Now you launch a product that is crap. And so I match it with what you promised me. I'm like, these don't go together. Do you get now? So which in that case you fail. Do you understand? So so you take care of your brand first. So distinguish those two things. Your brand is not your product. Your product is a touch point of your brand, or it's an offspring, so to say, of your brand. So it's where you have how your brand decides to manifest itself. Maybe a product, maybe a service, or what have you.
So as a business owner, I should focus on building my brand, not on building the product.
Oh yeah. And so just to talk about the building the brand, so that we will understand that. So I think we'll get to that in the course of the discussion. So your brand is that promise you made. So branding now becomes the things you do to make sure you fulfill that promise. So you have to make sure that, okay, yes, you've had the promise. This is my vision. This is what I've set out to. What am I going to be doing? The activities I'm going to be doing to make sure that this thing I have promised people, I will fulfill them. So yes, your brand, you take care of that first before the product even gets out there.
That's it. So there are certain things that make up a brand. there are certain things that make up a brand that we should consider when in terms of building a brand strategy or developing a brand strategy. There are certain things that make up a brand, things like values, mission, culture, things like this. These are the things that makes up a brand that we should. How important are these things when it comes to developing a brand strategy? How important is your culture? How important is your values? How important is your mission, your vision statement? How important are these things? Things that you talk about, your brand promise. How important are they when in terms of developing a brand strategy?
These are the core. These are at the core of your developing of a brand strategy. This is the foundation. Just like you've said, your brand consists of the tangibles and the intangibles. Intangibles being the ones that you just mentioned now, your mission, your core values, your vision and everything. Tangibles being your logo and the rest of that, signage, all aspects of it. Those things are very key, because if you don't lay this down as your groundwork, every other thing you build upon, you put upon it, will fail. So if you don't have your mission correct, you will always be swayed. So for instance, you don't have your mission, you don't set a course, okay, this is where I'm going, this brand. Before you know it, something could happen, maybe a rough weather somewhere later in the course of you running your business or your brand. If you don't have these things laid down, this is what I want to do. When that time comes, you'll falter, you'll fail. So you find people who they started out as one thing, and before you know it, we can't even say again, what really are you? Are you still the person you told us you are? But now we're seeing you doing so many things that we are now confused. We don't even know where to put you. That in most cases, that's when somebody has missed that mark. As per you don't have these key elements set down first. So they are like stressed before they even start talking about, setting out your strategy. This is like number one thing you do before you proceed into all that.
So as a business owner, I need to figure these things out first. I need to get my mission statement. I need to get my vision. I need to figure my culture, my values. I need to figure these things out first, and before developing a brand strategy. In fact, I need to figure them out first before going about to designing a logo or putting out a banner that grand opening or I'm open for business.
The logo and the rest, those are like, that's the last stage. That's the last thing you do, because so the logos are now, this is where we are now seeing you. So you made yourself public. The brand strategy phase is behind the scenes. You have to get this down before you even go to doing logo, signage, grand opening. Because what will lead those things? What will fuel those things? What will make you come out and stand like, okay, I'm ready for this? That strength, that boldness you get to say, okay, I'm ready to face the public, knowing that, okay, people can, it could go either way. So if you don't have the strategy right and you are convinced by your strategy that, okay, look, yeah, with this that I've said, and of course, I think in the course of our discussion, we'll talk about that, because you don't just get up and write strategy. Your strategy has to be informed. There's research, there are insights you do, analytics, and the rest of that. Those things inform, your strategy. So it means you sat down, and I don't know the audience, Christians or Muslims. I'm a Christian. So the Bible says, whoever wants to build a house or even go to war, you must first sit down and count the cost. That counting of cost is you setting down your strategy. That's you sitting down to look at, okay, this is where I'm going to. These are the possible roadblocks I'm going to face. So how do I surmount that? How do I, excel in this part of it? So you have to sit down and get this part first. The idea is juicy. You may even be seeing your money like, once I enter, I'm hitting. Some people make that mistake too. Oh man, there's so money to be made. Sure, every second I'm not out there, I'm losing money. No, bro. If you've not sat down to get, the idea, your strategy right, you might just be running into danger or also on failure. So it's important you sit down to craft your mission, your vision, your core values, the culture you want to create with your brand before you even put yourself out there, make yourself public, because it determines your success or your failure in the field of business.
Going back to the first episode, we made a statement. The guest I had, Jafar, he made a statement that customer is king or customer is key in terms of in terms of branding. So how true is this statement in terms of brand strategy, developing a brand strategy? How true is this statement? What role does the customer play? Do I need to figure out my customer before going into brand strategy? Like how are they related?
So at the end of the day, you are selling to people. All right, those people are your customers. They are the reason you are even going out, depending on what's informing you or what's motivating you to put out your brand. If you want to solve a problem or whatever it is, those people drive that decision. So those people are very, very key. Now there are times that you may want to, in the course of it, you may want to tweak their mind and then let them know what, because sometimes, yes, customer is king, no doubt, 100%. Customer is king because you are selling a product or a service to people. If those people are not there, you are not in business. So they are king because you actually need to recognize that they matter. If not, your business will fail. So if you don't see them as being king and listen to their feedback, sometimes verbal, sometimes even not verbal, if you don't take them into consideration in your strategy building, because at the end of the day, okay, what are you doing? You're not putting out the brand for yourself, right? You're putting the brand for people. So if it's a business you want to put out, it's for people. So those people should matter. Do you get? So you need to factor those people into your strategy. Like they are the essence of it. Actually, the strategy is just to help you to make sure that when I meet these people, I'm not disappointing them. So if you see it that way, that look, I'm putting myself out there to solve these people's problem. So if those people don't matter, so what are you doing? You get it? So they do matter, and you should consider them as very, very important in your strategy building.
It's important we have this conversation because we have seen businesses just come out, design a logo, and okay, we're selling one amazing product or we are selling one amazing service. So they just design their logo, do some sort of media campaign, and then just start selling without trying to figure out, like, they run on assumption, like we've assumed because this product is excellent, because the service is excellent, I don't need to look for the customer. I don't need to try to figure out who the customer or try to understand the customer. I just need to market the product and then it starts selling. Like, why, in your own opinion, why is this so, especially in the Nigerian context? Like, why is this so?
So, like I said before, you've already seen the money you're about to make, right? You think, oh, this idea is dope. It's going to blow. People are going to love it. But who really are these people? Because once you know your customers, you know how to talk to them. For instance, if your product or your service is supposed to be for high net worth individuals, there's a way you talk to them, and they will listen to you. And there's a way you talk, and they're like, "Who is this person?" Do you understand? So you need to know who exactly is my customer. Who exactly am I targeting out there? So once I know that, you don't put out a luxury product for people who are trying to even find 3 square meals. It will not work. They will even see you as, the devil that has been sent, to make their lives worse. But if you have sat through to know that, okay, this product I'm putting out is actually not for the high-end people there. It's also not for the middle-class people. So you know how to talk to them. So it informs your strategy. It also informs your messaging. So you're talking to these people, and when they hear you, they know, oh, okay, this person understands my issue. He's talking to me. But if you don't know that, and then you take a product that is supposed to be for, low-income people, and you're now marketing it to high-income people, they'll feel insulted. And once that happens, it means you're not making sales. You're not going to, your product or your service is not going to sell. So which means you failed. But if you are taking the time to know, okay, this product, this thing I'm doing is for these particular people. So which means I'm supposed to talk this way or position myself that way, so that when these people see me, they will know I'm talking to them. A typical example would be Bang and Olufsen. Those guys messed me up. The Nigerian guys. You saw their advert.
Yeah.
It was so good and so almost insulting. Like, this is not for you, it's for your boss. What? Do you understand? So these are people who, they know who they are targeting. And so they customize their message to make sure that when they hear it, so a boss that hears that must be here. So you now, when you get at a bank, you know that I'm the boss. These people are talking to me. Or it can even help you to aspire to that level because you just want to prove these guys wrong. So those are people who have known who their customers are. There are people who can afford it. And these people, yes, I'm talking to them. And this is how I'm supposed to talk to these people. So you need to know them. Don't just rush. There's the product truly may be a service that once you look at it like, true, this thing is going to blow. This is going to help. But who exactly is it for? Because so that's where your research, once you research your customer, research the market, you will be able to know the exact person this thing is for. And so you don't pick a product that is supposed to be placed either in ShopRite and then you take it to like a Mile 12 market. You miss the point. Oh, sorry, these are Lagos. These are Lagos.
No, it's fine.
Not ShopRite for the high end. The Mile 12 is for like the market woman. So you don't take a product who is supposed to be for a CEO or somebody who is well placed, and then now go and put it, where market people who are there, who are even trying to, their own is just to get, today's meal, and you're bringing them something that is actually, to them, they see it as a luxury. So that way, there's a mismatch, and you miss it from there. So it is very important. Once you have the idea, good, know that this idea is good. This product is not putting out will sell. However, don't rush out of excitement to put yourself in the market, because two things can happen. You might fail, or you now end up giving another person an idea, or giving somebody else an idea to work on, who probably has been positioning himself, or maybe was just waiting to see, what's the next thing I can do. He has the money, has everything available, and you just ended up introducing a money-making idea to the person, and he runs with you. So before you even now get yourself, together, the people with the money, with the resources have already taken off with your idea, and they're like, well, that's because you didn't sit down to count the cost or to do your strategy to know, okay, this is the product I'm putting out. These are the people. This is the exact person I'm talking to. This guy. So when he sees my product in the market, he knows this is for me. And that way, you don't miss it. So you need to resist the urge to run into the market once you have an idea. You've seen, there's money to be made. True. But if you don't take the time to know where that money is going to come from or who is going to give you that money, you might miss the whole mark in the process completely. So it's very important to do that.
Talking about taking our time to know where the money is going to come from, like I just remember the story of Cowbell and Peak Milk. Like I think it's a very interesting story that every business owner needs to go back. Now, like some people have forgotten how Cowbell started, and we had Peak Milk. Like Peak Milk was basically dominating the market. In fact, if it's not Peak, it's not. Then came Cowbell, is the underdog, and then decided, okay, let me study this market. I can't compete with Peak Milk at this level. Now let me go to the ordinary man. Let me go to the taxi driver, the bus conductor. Let me make it in a way that is then 10 naira Peak Milk back then, 5 naira. Like before we knew it, Cowbell. Before we knew it, Cowbell has exploded. It has turned to the ordinary man milk, and it got so bad that even Peak Milk had to come down because they were.
Yes, because so that Cowbell, like you said, they need to study them because already Peak Milk was positioned as the premium brand. You need to ensure it wasn't for anyhow person. You need to be at a certain level to assess Peak Milk. But so it was an aspirational brand to a lot of people. But then that's not the reality of life. Cowbell understood that, just like you said. The people here long to say it was more like, when I get money, I'll start drinking Peak Milk. But Cowbell came and like, no, you don't need to get the money. You don't need to wait till that time. We can actually bring it to you. And you can see the dominoes effect it has had. Almost every product now. I had wine red wine that was in a bottle, a small bottle. I've seen this thing in almost every product now have joined because it has become the de facto thing. Like if you don't do it, then you're losing out. But there's a market. These people, yes, they are not there yet, but you can bring it to them, and I bet you they would definitely have made more sales by putting it in small packaging where these other not so well-to-do people can access. I've seen it with Moe. Moe have a small bottle now that you can do. Meanwhile, Moe before was a very aspirational thing, but everybody has adopted that strategy, because the truth is, yes, you just have to understand that those are people who understood their market. They came in and they forced the hands of those guys up there to bow to their own strategy. And like you said, that's a classic case of strategy, because they sat down, they studied their market. Yeah, people want to, at the end of the day, people just wanted powdered milk. Quality wise, yes, you can say peak milk is still up there, but people didn't really care about, quality in good. They just wanted powdered milk because it was marketed as, okay, something that is for a certain class of people. And so you bringing it to this number of people, they will jump on it, and they made a killing. And I hope they are still making a killing also up to now. Like you said, people was forced to come down and bring this thing to every, because people aspire, people are aspirational. Yes, it's up there. I don't have the means now, but how about I bring that thing that you see far away closer to you, and market it or package it in such a way that it's also accessible. With your 10 naira, with your 20 naira, you can still taste luxury in quote. So that's a classic example, just like you said, a classic example of strategy, you knowing your market, knowing your customer, and positioning yourself to target them. Yeah.
All right. So in the book, Brand and Bullshit by Bernhard, he listed about 10 principles of brand strategy. And I want us to quickly go through those principles, and then so that you touch on each briefly. I know like we just have a few minutes, just touch on it briefly so that a business owner can understand, okay, these are some key points I need to consider. These are some key principles I need to consider when it comes to developing a brand strategy. And the first principle the book talked about is defining your brand. How important it is it to define your brand as a business owner?
It's everything, because if you're not defining your brand, is you telling yourself, okay, this is who I am. If you don't know who you are, you will not be able to communicate that to any other person or to another person. So first of all, defining your brand, okay, this is who my brand is. This is me, being authentic. Okay, I'm not here to BS you. I am here to, like, this is who. So you knowing yourself helps you to tackle every other thing. So it's important that you define your brand. This is who we are as a brand. And so once you define that, it sets you in motion for every other thing. So you need to know yourself, know your authentic voice, and then communicate that. Focus. You're not jumping here and there. I am a brand. I am this person that does this. Everything else falls under that. So you must know your brand so that you are not confused when you even set out and you see somebody doing maybe something similar, or so you're like, no, yeah, you may be doing that, but this is who I am, and this is what I'm here to do. So it's important you define your brand, who you are. We are not here to sell. For instance, if your brand is a luxury brand or it's for the common person, you are not telling people, no, I am a luxury brand, when you are not. I know I'm not a luxury brand. Like you said, Cowbell Milk, they are not peak milk. They are not here for the high class. So they define their brand, they are for the masses. And so by that definition helped them in everything they did. So their packaging wasn't to bring the tins and the big sachets. No, they came out with the small one because we want to give these things to the masses. So they define their own brand as the brand for the masses. And so you also need to know and to define yourself as whatever you are convicted, to be. So that's what I would say about the importance of you defining your brand, because it helps you. It helps with everything. It helps with everything. You define that, okay, this is who I am. This is who I'm coming here to serve. This is what I stand for, and everything. It sets you in and gives you that focus there. So it's very important for you to know your brand, to define your brand from the get-go, so that you don't get swayed by the market itself. Yeah.
So this principle allows us to understand things like the brand purpose, the values, the mission. This is where they all come in. They all come in play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will always thank you for bringing a cowbell thing. It will always come in there. Okay, yeah, this is our mission. our mission is to make this thing in the hands of put this in the hands of everybody, to have them taste luxury in quotes. So it cuts across, all that, your purpose and everything. Yeah.
All right. So the second principle the book talked about is your brand should be your business model. Like, so
yeah.
What does it mean when you say your brand should be your business model?
So for instance, your a business model in itself is you knowing how money comes to how your route to market, basically. Okay. Your business model is your route to market. Okay, so this is where I am. This is how I'm going to move to get to what the market. So once you see your brand as that, okay, this is who we are. This is how we want to, communicate our message. This is how we want to position ourselves. So your business model shows you how you are going to make money, basically. So how is your brand going to be positioned such that you make money, such that you are successful in the market? So your brand is your business model. So once you see it that way, okay, my business, first of all, business model is, the process between how money comes in and how money goes out, how I'm supposed to even be profitable in the market. So how am I positioning my brand also to be profitable? So that's, your brand is supposed to be seen that way. So these things now, that, okay, I'm not supposed to talk like this. I'm not supposed to hire this kind of person. I'm not, because if I do that, it goes against my principle. It goes against our core values and all that. But, it takes you towards your destination, which is profitable, or whatever it is you set out to do. So you should see your brand as your business model.
So it goes back to point number one. When you define yourself as a brand, when I know my values, what I stand for, it helps me create a business model. It helps me in terms of hiring, in terms of how I interact, in terms of how my route to the market. It helps me in knowing that. So that's why it says your brand is your business model. Wow, yep. Interesting. Yep. Now the third point, the third principle the book talked about is consistency. Now, why should brands be consistent across all platforms in terms of we're dealing internally or externally, or why is consistency key when it comes to brand strategy?
So when it comes to consistency, right? So especially, I think the world we are in now really helps us to understand the importance of consistency, because there are many voices out there. So your consistency is what keeps you top of mind with people. So this is who I am. I'm not going to go here or there. I'm consistent with my message. I'm consistent with my promise to you. I'm not, because once you're not consistent, you're confusing your customers. Because they will be like, okay, today you are this, tomorrow you are that. There's a typical example in the book of, and I think it's an alcohol brand who wanted to launch into the the bottled water business.
Yeah,
bottled water trend and all that. And they made the mistake of bringing their, yes, you could say maybe they tried to be consistent by bringing their logo in here, but the people you've already been consistent in letting the people know that this is who I am. I am an alcohol brand. That's a good thing they did, but when they swayed into this other and also brought the touch point of this, what's it called now, the alcohol brand, using it also to brand water, it confused people, because now what's going on? You are not consistent in your message. You told us you're a luxury brand, for instance. So why are you giving me cheap products? So you need to be consistent in whatever your promise is. So that's why it also goes back to your strategy. Hey, get it right, so that when you come out, you are not jumping here and there. Yeah, the market may change. I think we'll get to where you can also, be flexible and switch when you need to pivot when necessary. But that consistency helps you to win loyalty from your customers, because they know that, okay, I'm not waking up tomorrow to see that, okay, you that told me you were making shirts, you are now maybe designing shoes. But I knew you to be the one that is going to be giving me shirts. Maybe yes, at some point you may want to move into another business, but you need to be consistent first in what you've told the people. I have told you this, I'm consistent in that. So anywhere you go, you are seeing me say the same message. So it builds loyalty with your customers. And once you have loyal customers, there's no limit you cannot surmount. You become how do I put it now? the sky becomes your starting point, because you know that you have people who understand you, who are loyal to you, because you've earned it by being consistent in your message to them and in whatever you're delivering. So consistency is very key. It's very, very key. You don't wake up tomorrow and just say something else when you've already built people to know you for one particular thing. Or maybe just, today you're saying this, tomorrow you're saying that. Once you've done that, you confuse people, and the attention span of people today, people are not that loyal anymore. So if you're not consistent, they'll be like, look, I don't know what those guys are doing. I'm going to people who know what they are doing. A typical example, there's a supposed supermarket around me here where I stay, and if we go there today, there will be, maybe you have a list of things you want to buy, and you go today, you find maybe out of 5 things, it's just 2 things you're seeing. And it means that, okay, the transport you have paid to go to the place that is consistent, in this case, that has everything, I'm going to now, spend more, like, okay, get 2 things for you and go back to there. What now happened to me was I just stopped going there, because I'm like, these guys they're not consistent. They don't have everything that I want. So I go to a place where anytime I go there, I get everything. So it may be more expensive to transport myself to the other place, but I know that I will have my needs met there as against this other place. So if you are consistent, that's the same thing that happens in the minds of the customer. They know that whenever they see you, you are not disappointing. So they have that loyalty, they have that trust in your brand. It builds trust as well. So you being inconsistent is really detrimental to any brand. Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that consistency cuts across every touch point of your brand, because you see some businesses thinking like when you say consistency, they just limit it to the visual elements in terms of, I want to be consistent in my colors, I want to be consistent in my designs and all. But consistency, it's from your values, from how you interact with customers. Is it the same way your employees interact with your customers? Like, your customers should be able to feel the same way, whether they interact with you online, offline, whether they walk into an online store or walk into like your physical shop, whatever it is, they should be able to feel the same. So consistency isn't just about the visual elements in terms of designs, colors, typography, or messaging. It actually cuts across like how I talk, how we talk, even within ourselves in the organization, in the business, how I relate to my employees, and it's all part of consistency. Now, talking about employees, a funny thing I talk about it now, because the next principle, it talks about you should go from inside out. Now, you should be able to sell the vision, the values, all these things to your employees first. Get feedback from them. Know what your employees think about your brand before taking it out there. So how important is this principle in terms of brand strategy?
Yeah, so remember what we said, you need to define your brand. So once you've defined your brand, you know whom you're supposed to bring in. So first of all, once that, you can see where all these things, how they fit into every other thing with the consistency and the rest. It starts from inside out. You need to build your people. Your people are supposed to be your brand evangelists. It should be that when I see this person, I know that, oh, okay, this person looks like this. Again, sorry, I'm not trying to go back to the Bible. When the disciples also saw, when people saw the disciples of Jesus, they couldn't tell them apart.
Yeah.
Like, is this? They were confused even when they came to arrest him. They didn't know, because he had been consistent. He had built himself. He had built the brand now from inside out, so that the people embody the brand. So now your staff, they know what the brand stands for. So they know how to behave, how to talk, how to interact with customers. It's consistent. So it's not like, oh, it's only the manager that knows how to talk to customers. Then the salesperson doesn't know. No, you've missed it there. But once you've communicated your brand, the strategy very well, your vision and the rest, you know that whoever you're bringing in, first of all, in the process of even hiring the person, you'll be looking out for this thing. Does this person possess this, these characteristics? So if your brand is supposed to be a brand that brings care, that offers, care to people, you know that, oh, is this person naturally a caregiver or somebody who is caring, or who loves human beings, who loves helping people? So once you get that right, you can now build. So you need to, in your inside the organization, it needs to be part of them. Like they live and breathe whatever your brand stands for. So that way you don't miss it. So it doesn't have to always be the manager that will come and then talk to the client the way the client should be spoken to. No, if your brand is supposed to be for luxury, is the way you talk. So even your client, your staff, they understand that, and in their dealings with people, they deal with them that way. So it's very important also that you build this thing from the inside out. Your strategy should be like your people should embody it, and in their touch points, in the way they react to everybody, that also will cut across. Yeah.
I believe that this principle is one of the things that have made Apple stand out over the years, because everyone you meet at Apple, whether you're interacting with them online or offline, like they've been able to, in fact, they built it in such a way that the staff, the employees, they connect emotionally with the Apple vision. Like it's now an emotional connection. It's no longer just a work thing. It's no longer just my job thing. It's more like it's a tribe now. It's a cause for them. And this emotional connection, in short, let's just talk about the next principle, because it talks about making sure that people connect emotionally, that people should connect on an emotional level with your brand. How important is it? Because I know we touched on it a bit in the first episode, but I really want you to expand on this, connecting on an emotional level.
Emotional level, right? So I so love this because each one builds on each other. So when you are consistent in your message, you know yourself, you communicate it, you hire the right people. The people who know that these guys are not here, they care about me. Do you understand? So that emotion, so whenever they see your brand, they see your logo, they say, yeah, they can connect, they become volunteer ambassadors of your brand, because they know that this brand has us in mind in their service, in their product and everything. So you want to build your brand such a way that people, both your staff and every other person, can connect emotionally. I've seen people argue. A typical example: footballers, football fans. They will be talking as if we bought this person. We have the money to. I'm like, dude, you are just. But the brand has been able to build in such a way that these people see it as their own thing. In your messaging, in your everything, you are consistent across board, so they know that this is our guy, this is our brand, this is our person. So they carry you without you even asking them, because you fulfilled your promise over time. The promise you made to them, you fulfilled it over time. So they've not been disappointed. They've never found you being inconsistent. They know that if you told me you are going to be here by 9 o'clock, or your store is going to open by 9, it's opening by 9. There have never been a time where I've come by 9 o'clock and you are closed. So that way, I can stick my hand on my chest and tell somebody, look, see these guys, I can vouch for them with everything. So once you are able to keep your promise and to, do all this, being consistent, it's very easy for people to connect emotionally, because now they are loyal. They take you, they personalize you, they personalize your brand. Like this is our own. Like there's also a story of the Biggie and Pepsi store. I don't know if you saw it, an email leaked where the Pepsi executive was telling the people, basically talking about how that Biggie is actually doing well, and so they're like, we need to sell more. So the people that love Biggie is a drink in a Nigerian brand who is also challenging Coca-Cola. So people are like, oh, really? These international brands want to come and muscle our own Nigerian brand. People went, like it helped them, because they're not seeing you like, no, this is our own, because you have listened to us. You have designed your product or service to tackle my problem. And I see that you are not just here for my money. You care about me. And so, I go the whole 9 years with you. So that emotional connection becomes very easy, for them to imbibe. Yeah.
So building an emotional connection leads to loyal customers. It leads to loyal employees, and definitely there must be something we do for these loyal employees. Now, the next principle talks about rewarding and empowering brand champions or people that are loyal to the brand, how important is it for us to empower loyal staff or loyal employees? How important is it for us to reward people that are brand champions? We see today, we see brand ambassadors and all. How important is it? Because there are people, just like you say, football fans. Like I believe I support FC Barcelona, and I know back there was this about 2 years ago. Yeah, I think it was after the 2015 when we won the Champions League and all, and I got some sort of email from Barcelona if they are rewarding their loyal fans, that I should put my name here so that I'll be sent things like jerseys and all. Like, so how important is it, like the thing they did then, and how important is it for us to reward brand champions?
So for in any way, even in life, if I do something for you and you give me a reward, it shows that, okay, it also goes back to the value system. It shows that you value me. It shows that you see me, among the sea of, all these people, your whole customers and all that. You see that my effort matters. So it's important that you reward these people, because they are your evangelists. They are the ones that push, your brand. They are the ones that, we talked about, they've connected emotionally. And now you are even coming to reward them for even shopping with you, for even, buying your product. It just goes on to build that connection and that loyalty with your customers. For instance, so imagine there are some shops you go to, because you're a loyal customer, you get a discount. Bro, no matter what anybody tells you outside anywhere else, you're like, these are my people. They get me. I work there, yes. So human beings is the thing with humans. You want to just, there's this whole, you want to create a community, or you want to belong to the tribe. Everybody, it's about tribes. You're like, I belong here, I belong there. What are the benefits of me belonging here over this other person? Subconsciously, we have that internal, the competition, so to say. Oh, you are shopping this, I can get it cheaper in my place. And why can you get it cheaper? Because you've been shopping there, and these people have recognized you, so they give you a discount. So that gives you an edge over this person. We are always seeking that edge over the other person. And so if I have a brand who have seen my efforts in either patronizing them or using their service or whatever, it is very important you reward this person, because once you reward, it comes back. It comes back to you. So it just keeps the cycle, flowing. You have this person, so if you reward the person, you notice what this person is doing. He goes on, tells the other person. They become your evangelist. They just keep spreading the word of the brand. So it's very important that you reward these people, because everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to identify with something that is good. So I'm hoping also, like, your brand is a good brand, is doing well in the market. People want to connect with that. And so to have you also, reward them by either noticing them, either giving them discounts, either, whatever you do, just to show that, oh, I see you. People want to know that, oh, okay, yeah, I'm seen. My efforts are being noticed. And so when you do that, it just goes on to build that loyalty on and on and on. So it's very important for you to, first of all, seek out these ambassadors, because some of them may not be as vocal, but seek out, okay, if this person has been shopping some people, and it happens also most times in December period, or the festive period, you see them give discount to their loyal, because always got loyal customers. How did they build that loyalty? It's a two-way thing. You were consistent in your offering, and they also, kept on with you. And this is you now, like, telling them, yes, we see you, we appreciate you. See, there's nothing else that can fan the flames of, that can encourage anybody than you being, recognized for your efforts and rewarded for it. So it just it makes you do more, So it's important for you to be a champion, because it makes them even do more, because now they're like, oh, it becomes fear for them, like, oh, really? Some of them may even be, championing your brand without knowing it, or not even expecting anything in return. But if they see you now, like, come and acknowledge that, it goes a long way. Just like you said about the Baka thing. I mean, football fans do that a lot. You see football. I see people I don't know if you put out your own email address. Some people that want to get that email, they just screenshot it and put it out. Like, it's because I am associated with this brand. They notice me, they know me, they see me. I mean, there's nothing, there's no higher encouragement you can give to your customers or your clients than, rewarding them for their loyalty. And I think it's something that every brand should do.
Talking about football is one brand that has been able to successfully build a community. Like, you talk about football, you talk about the likes of Apple. Now, I know another principle of brand strategy is cultivating a community. Now, when it comes to cultivating a community, I know basically anyone listening can actually deduce the importance of community, but I just want you to touch on that point when it comes to cultivating a community.
So human beings seek it. We are relational beings, right? We want to we seek relationships with people as humans. So, and also we are tribal in nature. Before, whether you like it or not, people just want to huddle together because there's everybody. You want to you want to identify with people. You want to belong somewhere. There's that need for belonging for everybody. So it's important that you as a brand create that community, people who are loyal to you, people who have bought into your vision and are running with it. It's good to create that community because it now helps them. It's a need of man. It's one of the needs of man, to be recognized, to be significant. So you cultivating a community helps even in spreading your information. So you have people who, like you said, okay, this set of people interested in using my product, and so you form a community so they know themselves. For instance, you see an Apple person, once you see another, you walk in somewhere, you see somebody else using an Apple, subconsciously you see somebody giving a nod, like, I see you, I know you, we belong together. So it creates that, it solves that need, that human need of becoming or identifying with a particular tribe, a particular community. So once you can do that with your brand, it becomes those that will actually carry your message across. So you want to create a community of those people, like minds, who will come in and like, oh, we identify with this brand. You've been doing this. They become your should there be reason for you to go to war in quotes? Those are like, they become your foot soldiers. Where no, this is our own thing. This is our community. So we see like minds here, and they help you fight your battles. They help you win your wars. They help you do everything with your.
Oh, fantastic. Now, another principle stated in the book is staying relevant and being flexible. How important is this? Like, why should we as brands, or why should businesses be flexible and stay relevant?
It's very key because we evolve. Life evolves. Okay, so you didn't just come out a full-grown man.
Sure.
You started from a baby, and then your brand is supposed to be able also, to move with the times. It's possible that at the time when you created your brand, this is actually what you came out to solve. This is the problem you solved. Maybe you finished solving that problem. How about you evolve the brand to look for another problem? Because the truth is, as we evolve, for instance, as you grow, I mean, when you were a baby, there were needs you had as a baby. Okay, but when you became an adult, those needs change. So if I don't position my brand so that I take care of these different stages, or I monitor the market to know, okay, this is what has changed. How do your brand should be so flexible so that it can move with the times? Because what drives your decision in the market is what's in the market. As in what are the people? Remember we talked about customer is king. Yeah. Your customer may have evolved where he first met you. The needs of the customer is now different. If you've been paying attention, you will know that, okay, this thing that this customer used to like before, the times have changed. People no longer like this. This is actually what people like. So it helps you once you know that You now because if you don't reinvent yourself, you don't evolve, you are dead now. So if we needed you at this point, now we don't need you again, and you've not changed. What happens? We move to the other person who is solving that problem, or who is answering our questions. So as a brand, you need to, and this evolution or this flexibility is you actually paying attention to the market. You need to pay attention to your market to know, okay, what do I need to do to stay relevant? How do I need to, to talk? How do I need to position myself to reinvent myself? So there are businesses who they started as one thing, but that's no more what they do. But one thing that will be constant is that their messaging, their personality, nothing changes. It's just that, okay, maybe the touch or the product probably has now been modified, to another level. A typical example of reinventing yourself and staying relevant. Kodak. I don't know if we all know Kodak. They used to make films, right? They used to make films for camera. So those days that you have to, you take a picture, you go to the lab, you watch the picture. They made those films. But now, nobody does that anymore, except maybe for whatever purpose. But everybody now, we have a smartphone. Everything has gone digital. Yeah. But they didn't evolve the time, and now Kodak is no more. No, because the market do not need that anymore. Technology has, the advent of technology has made that particular product useless. So that's a typical example. They didn't evolve with the time, and now they've lost the market. Also, Nokia. I think let me bring it even home for those who didn't understand. When we started, like Nokia led the smartphone market. They were always, Nokia this, Nokia that, but they missed it where they would have, they were supposed to be the Apple of today.
True.
But Nokia missed it. Jobs and the rest, they took over that market, and now they are no more. They are gone. Nokia, whatever they're trying to do, except, they come up with something grand and something that will turn people's necks to look at them. But they lost that market because they didn't evolve with the time. The book also talked about GoPro. GoPro was this device that for extreme sport lovers to capture all this. Yeah. But now people can capture everything. So they focus their message on the product, not on, okay, what are the needs in the market. So you need to, for a brand, you need to pay attention to your market to see where people are going, the direction people are going, the needs of the people. So once in a while, you may put out a survey. Remember, now you've created a community for champions now, like what is it you want? So if you are paying attention to your market, if you are monitoring your market or your industry, you will be able to know what the trend is, the buying trends or the needs that people now have. And so once you know that, you'll be able to position your brand so that you offer that service. But if you miss that and you don't reinvent, there's a saying, reinvent or die. So if you don't reinvent yourself, you are dead. And so imagine all the effort you put in and all that, just because you didn't reinvent yourself, you lost all that and you are no more. So it's very important for a brand to stay relevant. And for you to stay relevant, you need to, pay attention to your customers, pay attention to the market, know what they need per time, and then offer that, tweak your services, but then don't lose your person, don't lose your definition. You are still this brand that offers it. However, this is now how you produce, or that is how you keep your promise. You've tweaked it to make sure that it still fits with the market. And you can also look at a good example of reinventing and being flexible is also the pick meal that we talked about. They didn't say because cowbell came up with the small, we are sticking to our own. It must be we are not doing it. Yeah. No, they also joined it, and they are still in the market today because is this what you are doing? Right. So we also so this is what the people want. We can now make it also affordable to the masses, and they are still relevant. But if they stuck to no, we must be what it is. No. And the beautiful thing they did also, they didn't lose the quality. You are still getting the same quality you would get from the big cans and the big sachets. If the quality is the same, but they've now made it available to a large number of people.
Yeah.
That's a cool example of you being flexible and reinventing yourself. So the market now, cowbell came and showed that okay, we can make this thing for the masses. So you also stay flexible, make yourself also for the masses, and They are not losing it. They are still relevant. It even helps them the more because now people, because they see don't forget, cowbell came with lower quality product. The quality compared to pig is not the same. However, people were okay at Shasha. We are still having powder milk. Okay, we know the quality of pig is different, but see the beauty was that they maintained the quality because that's how they position their brand. That's how they build their brand. Quality milk. The quality never dropped. So even if you are buying the small sachet, you are still getting the same thing you get if you're buying the big one. So that way, it still stayed relevant, and they are still smoking these other people out. So it's very important for a brand to actually be flexible. Don't be rigid. It doesn't help anyone. Even as a human being, like you can't just be rigid. You need to be able to alter, here and there. However, don't lose your essence. Don't lose who you are. Don't lose your message. Maintain that. However, tweak it to serve the needs of the time. So that's what I would say about that for any brand. You need to be able to listen to your market, listen to whoever is buying your product, your community, listen to their needs and make it available for them.
I think listening to our market is quite important because something worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today, or because it worked last year, 2 years ago, doesn't mean it's going to work today. And I love the fact that you've made mention of this. And another brand we can also look at is Coca-Cola. Now, all of a sudden, we saw Coke Zero because they listened to their market. People were complaining about the sugar. People were complaining about because of obesity, diabetes, and all. And they listened now, and they didn't lose themselves. You still see them like Coke Zero still have the entire essence, the entire values that embodies Coke or Coca-Cola. Yep. So it's still the same. Like you said, reinvent or die, because you can't be so rigid. Being rigid doesn't work anymore. You have to be flexible to stay relevant. Key point. Now, another principle the book talked about is to align our tactics with strategies. To align our tactics with strategies. Like, what does it mean when it says align your tactics with your strategy?
So remember, your strategy is supposed to, like your game plan. This is how I want to do this. This is how I want to enter the market. This is how I want to win. So your tactics now will be like the logo, your flyer, your communication. How you talk. Maybe it's your billboard. How is the billboard designed? So all those things are supposed to be aligned. So if I say I am going to position myself in quote as a premium brand, what makes for a premium brand? It means that, okay, if I'm putting out a flyer or a billboard, class has to be seen in that billboard. It has to be properly designed, probably by the best. Do you understand? So if you are designing, I'm using design now because, that's my field. So if you are a premium brand, people expect to see a certain, like when they see your product, when they see your flyer, when they see your communication, maybe your social media post, it speaks of, it shows that, oh, this was thought out. There was process in this thing. Somebody sat down to think of this thing. So that's you aligning your tactics, because your tactics is, these are the tricks you want to use to get people to come and, either subscribe to you or buy your product. So you need to align it so that everything you do stays in line with your strategy. Your strategy is whatever you've defined your strategy to be. Your tactics needs to be, aligned that way. So if you miss it out, you confuse people. And once people cannot define you, or once people see something that is not what they know, one thing they will do is just look for the alternative, or like, hey, chill, what's going on here? This is not what you promised me. So why are you doing? So you need to align so everything. I so love this principle thing because, like, from the person you hire, it speaks to what you are doing. And we talked about Bang & Olufsen.
Yeah.
Their designs were not cheap designs. You see that it was classy because they are trying to tell you that they are a premium brand. So every touch point of the brand spoke of that. So once you know yourself as a brand, you know what you stand for, your personality and everything. It should be able to align with whatever you put out there. Everything people will interface with should be able to, communicate that, okay, this is well thought out. This is the strategy is the same. I'm seeing the consistent thing everywhere. it needs to be aligned. So once you know yourself, know that I'm a premium brand or I'm a brand for the masses. So if you're a brand for the masses, you cannot now go and, your strategy, your tactics now cannot be you putting a billboard in a place where only the high and mighty visit. That's you not aligning your tactics to your strategy. Your strategy is to corner the masses. So you go to where the people are. The people are more there. This is where the people shop. This is where they go to church. This is where their children go to school. So you position yourself with those. That's you aligning your tactics to your strategy, because your strategy in this case is to serve the masses, not the premium people. So you don't take a product that is supposed to be seen in the local market, and you're now keeping the product in the market that a certain set of. And what will happen then will be that those people will look at it as being inferior, while these other people that are supposed to see it are not seeing it. So you need to align. It's important that first of all, you know your strategy, so you make sure that everything you are doing goes in that same direction. Yeah, so it's very key also. Whatever tactics you are doing. There was a time people were talking about, now that this what are they called? These guys that make skits, the comedians on the Lasisi, all these guys, these people are helping, advertise product. They'll corner the market from advertising agency. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way, because there's a process involved that that okay, this particular comedian or this particular ambassador will help tell our story, will help sell our products, will help sell our service. So once you align that, that's also a tactic. Maybe you want to use a particular person, a particular influencer, to sell your product. It informs the kind of influencer you use, because there are influencers who are in the space of the premium space. There are those who, for instance, a brother Shaggy who is an Agbero cannot be used, as to market a premium product. It was because they don't match. They don't match. So you want to also look for somebody in that space who is playing as like a clean, prim and proper person, not an Agbero. So your tactics should be able to align back to whatever the strategy is. If not, you miss it out. You miss out on the market.
So I think that's why brands like Apple, if you look at their design from their website to everything aligned with their strategy that talks about think differently. Like they want to make life easier for you. They want to make the everyday life easy. Everything aligns with that strategy. So we develop a strategy, and then all, like you said, the logo, the design, the messaging, everything should be aligned towards that strategy.
Yeah.
Now, the final principle the book talked about is you should measure your effectiveness, like measure the effectiveness of your strategy. Because now people just go about, now you followed the previous 9 principles, you've been consistent, you've done this. But I think some brands fail at that measuring part, because they tend not to keep stock of where they are making progress, where they need to change, where they are failing, that they need to make adjustments. So okay, so now the measuring your effectiveness, how important is it to measure your effectiveness?
It is, because now if your brand is supposed to be flexible, like we talked about, what will inform that flexibility? So for instance, you've done your tactical, your everything, you put it out there. You need to, so measuring the effectiveness, okay, this thing I've done, what's the impact? What's the resultant effect on the brand or on the business? So that way you know that, okay, this particular direction is working. So you measure it to know that, this thing is effective, this thing is yielding results. If it's not yielding results, you stop it. So it helps you to make those decisions that, okay, this is what to stop, this is what not to stop, this is what to improve, this is what to completely, take out. So you need to measure everything you put out there. So for instance, if you are doing a campaign, you're putting an advertising campaign, or you're putting a flyer out, you want to measure to see, okay, how effective is this thing? Is it yielding the results that we intended for it to yield? If that's not done, so it now informs you to, okay, stop it, redo everything. So you need to measure the effectiveness of everything you do. Don't just put it out there and like, yeah, we've done it. Yeah, it could have been that maybe when you were strategizing, that's where the people were. But by the time you came out, the people have moved from that point. So you can't bring the same the strategy you wanted to use or the tactic you wanted to use as at the time when the people were with you. So when they had already moved from that point, then you lose them. Because if you do that way, it won't work anymore. So you will need to know that, okay, for every effort I put out, what is the effect? How are the people responding to this thing? Is it yielding the intended result? Because number one, you're not just shooting blanks in the air with the hopes that, okay, it will, hit something. You want to know that, okay, this particular thing that I'm doing, this person I'm hiring is delivering on the promise. This influencer that I'm bringing in is actually converting, sales, is bringing people to, because if you don't do that, then you keep spending money, spending resources, and it doesn't yield. It won't help the brand. So you need to measure the effectiveness of every strategy. So if you notice that, this strategy doesn't work, you pivot, you change, look for another strategy that works. But if you don't put in that tool that will help you measure the effectiveness of everything, you will just keep doing, more like running in a treadmill. You're not going anywhere, just expending energy, but it's not yielding results. So you want to be able to make sure that I'm making targeted efforts, and for every effort I put in, I check, does it yield result? If it doesn't yield result, you look for where it's missing the point, and you tweak your message or whatever as the case may be. Then it helps you pull through whatever, and win your market, basically. So you want to make sure that for every action, you observe it. For instance, now you're putting out, that's why we have insights on, for instance, if you're running an advert on Instagram or social media, those are the things that help you to measure the effectiveness of this ad. Okay, who saw it? Did the people I intended it for, did they see it? If they didn't, you tweak it. So you change, maybe you change your demographic, So that's where you will see it being used very well. We give you the insight, okay, these things were seen by this time. So it means that, okay, next time if I'm running this ad, I'm going to make sure it is shown to the people at the time that this particular class of people are always online and seeing that. So you want to make sure that every effort you put out, you measure it to see if it's effective or not. And then you make your decision based on that. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I must say that it's been the information has just we've been bombarded with a lot of information, and thank you a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you. Before I let you go, I just want to know, is there one last thing you want to, inform a business owner there when it comes to brand strategy, or when it comes to generally building a brand?
I think we've said almost, we've exhausted everything. My own would be that immediately that idea drops, please don't rush to market. Sit down. I wish I knew what the Quran says, but the Bible says count the cost before you launch out, so that you don't become a laughing stock. So immediately you have the idea, sit down, do your strategy. Do your strategies. It's as simple as what we've listed here. Know yourself. Who are you talking to? How do you meet them? Get to do all that before you introduce yourself in the market. Don't rush. Yes, you may think that money is missing. You are missing money by not, putting it out there. I'm not saying, don't take calculated risks, but however, as the word implies, it's calculated. So which means you sat down to think through the risk before you, went on with it. So please sit down, get the right hands, get the right people, know yourself, and know who to bring in. Brand new businesses these days, there's always, okay, because you're starting, you want to save money, but sometimes in the process of saving money, you are losing the essence of the brand. So which means, in the case, for instance, now these days, people are highly visual in the sense that design sells. People know the value of design. So don't start your brand if you are not very good with it. For example, now, don't go and do your flyer. The flyer that was supposed to introduce your brand, don't go and do it because you're trying to save money. You can't do it on Canva, and you are not a designer. I'm not saying you can't. I can use Canva because I'm a designer, and I'll still churn out good products. But you now, in the course of, let me save money, you don't want to go and pay a person that can do the best design, especially maybe it's your logo as well. Don't just go pick anything and use. Sit down, know who you are, and get the right person to do the right job for you. And that way you hit the ground running. So that would be my advice for anybody. Don't, in the course of trying to save money, do shabby products. We are the world now. We understand class. We understand quality things. So even if your brand is for the masses, even those masses, they know what is a quality product and what is not a quality product. So take the time to know them. Take the time to speak their language to them, and success will always be your portion. To use that. So yeah. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, well, at least we're in Nigeria. Well, dear business owner, you've heard it now, so count your cost. Thank you, Akanimo, for this session and episode, and it's been really insightful. I trust someone out there picked a thing or two. All right, folks, we'll see you in the next episode. I'm still your host, Ojibe. It's out.